Hey y'all, welcome to At Your Cousin's House, and I'm so happy to have you here in my sacred space sharing this beautiful human experience. If you don't know, my name is Tanisha. I'm a mom, a hoodoo practitioner, a devotee to the Luau, and an overall spiritualist. I am excited to have you guys here. This is episode number 2, and I'm realizing that today marks 3 months of me being sober, cleaning up the devil's lettuce. Amen. And I'm so happy I have been taking strides to build the life that I know I deserve. And I'm here to hopefully inspire you to do the same. So let's just get into it. If this is your first time again, let me just read the attentions because I have not memorized it yet, but I'm a strong believer in speaking what you want into the universe because the universe is just a reflection of who you are. So the intentions of this channel is to empower Black women to let go of self-limiting beliefs and provide the tools or inspiration to construct a life and identity that is authentically and unapologetically your own. So I'm happy that Spirit, Holy Spirit, whoever you call on for divine leadership, has led you here. And I'm always so happy to add more cousins into the tribe. So I was figuring out what I wanted to talk about today. And I grabbed my Rose Oracle deck. I love this deck. And I have my camera front facing because I need to make sure that it doesn't stop in the middle of me talking. Because, baby, I'll be yapping and ain't been recording nothing. So we're going to do this for now until I don't have to do it no more. So I appreciate you understanding. But this Rose Oracle deck is by Rebecca Campbell. This is my second experience with her decks. I absolutely love her decks. She just came out with one. I keep this one at my Isrule shrine because this is the Mother Rose deck. I don't want to get into it because it's not a paid promotion yet, but I love this feminine energy. So I always pull this card from this deck when I am at my altar. Of course, you cannot communicate with the Lawal with like tarot, but energy is energy. So I keep everything in alignment with what I desire the most. Oh, you can see I dyed my hair pink. I am in my pink era, y'all. In my pink era, in my toesy rosies or a little hot pink. Been kind of obsessed with it, and I think I'm just saying. It feels like as I get closer to Israel, it's just an expression, an inner expression of the world that is within me. So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about, I decided to pull a card from this deck, and I pulled the second bloom, and I hope you can see that. At the bottom, let me move my nails. So let's look at the picture. It's a mature woman, and she's coming out of a rose that is opening. And this card is about a second chance. It's never too late in new possibilities. I will put the card description in the comments. But when I seen this card, I was like, oh wow, yes. Um, I am living a second, third, fourth chance right now, and I knew exactly what I needed to talk about. So before we get right into it, I just want to explain like the formats of these conversations. My goal is not just to sit here and yap about my life and what the wisdom that I carry. Is to offer myself as an example. I'm not a guru. I'm not at the point I'm not at my final destination, absolutely not. But I am very pleased with the woman I am now, and I can't wait to see the woman who I'll be within the next like 6 months. Baby, I have lived so many lives. I'm 36 years old. I have been a devoted radical Christian. I have been a wannabe Rastafarian. I have been a atheist. I have explored so many dynamics within myself. I've shifted so many times. I've died so many times, spiritually at least. And now I'm here. And I like this version of Tanisha. So I'm excited to see who I become in the next couple years. But back to what I was saying. The goal of these videos is to share my experiences. Somebody? Oh, oh, that's my next door neighbor, is to share my experiences and also provide some advice and insight for any other single mom, black woman, non-black woman who might need to see someone that see a reflection of themselves. I do say this is for black women because I am a black woman. My experience is unique in this world. And often black women, eclectic black women like myself, don't have representation in well, in the media period. There's always one type of woman or whatever. And when I was on my search to find someone to be inspired by, I couldn't find anyone like me. So I'm doing it for others who might need community. So let's get into it. I think the best way. Oh, wait. I already told you I'm offering some advice. Okay, cool. So let's talk about second chances because often when I pulled this card, Second Blue, it reminded me of when I became a single mom. I became a single mom while living on my Chiron line during my Saturn return, all unknowingly. Didn't know any of this. Just moved. I was a self-proclaimed free-spirited woman. In other words, I was too afraid to bet on myself. I had low self-esteem. I didn't believe I had any strengths, talents, or abilities. So I relinquished my power and just said, I'm going to just go in the flow and see what happens. And baby, a lot happened when I was led from Houston, Texas to Denver, Colorado. So, y'all ready for a story? All right. So, I became a mother on my 30th birthday. And I believe that's where your Saturn return really kick in. And it was one of those moments where I had to remind myself that I was not a victim. I had met my kid's dad a couple months prior. And after spending like a year and a half in Colorado, I was so lonely. So when I met him, it was like, oh my God, finally someone like me and who likes to have fun, who knew everybody, who we would go out and at 8 o'clock in the afternoon and not come back until like 6 o'clock in the morning. We met so many people. I just felt so high around his energy, not knowing y'all that man was manic. Okay. After the fact, he was diagnosed with a mood disorder and everything made sense. But we had a very hot and steamy relationship. It started out hot and steamy and ended in ashes. Actually, like when the day it snapped to me that I was living I was experiencing a toxic relationship, the same relationships that I viewed in my personal life, whether it was in my family or in my community. I made the choice that I was going to break up with him the same day I found out I was pregnant. So just imagine having this aha moment, being like, you deserve more. You got to do better with your life, and then realizing that you're tied to this unstable creature. Okay? Because, I mean, that's what it's not about him, Tanisha. It's not about him. So that started a very lonely, long pregnancy. Many nights of crying by myself, many nights of feeling defeated, many nights of pulling my mattress to my altar and just holding myself and crying. When I say, honey, I was in the trenches and so full of shame that I didn't extend, I didn't ask for help. I had a great midwife, y'all. I remember meeting her and just feeling like, I don't know if you ever met someone and you just feel the energy in your body expand, and it's like you kind of like in a movie. You're like, oh, and it was like I knew she was divinely sent, but I believe it was part of my journey, not to witness or observe myself go through that struggle, even though I did have good people around me. I really can't make sense of it other than I was just ashamed of my circumstances. And I was low key protecting him as a black woman, a woman of color. I'm sure that many of you understand that. we're conditioned from a young age to not get pregnant. You don't want to be a statistic. You got to get married to a good dude. You got to do this. You got to do that. And when things fall through, it's like we don't have anybody. You don't want. Let me just speak for myself. When all that fell through, I felt like I had to build a facade to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? So I did struggle a lot alone. I even had a few friends that I made in Colorado, that I, looking back at it now, I could have reached out to them and they would have been there for me the best way they could. I could have laid on the couch and ate snacks and cuddled, in a cuddle puddle and made it through. But I had to go through that dysfunction in order to see that that's not the way I want to live. So, with that being said, after I had my kid, during my pregnancy, I was like, I got to go back home. I had made all these plans with him. By the time I got home, my child was 1 month, a month. She was 1 month, and he was in Africa, completing an arranged marriage. Yes, honey. He was our whole relationship. He was promised to a young lady. He'll say he just went out there and met someone and got married. But child, we all, social media, we all know that's not how those situations go. These things are planned in advance. There's a courtship. There's things that have to be done in alignment to his culture and traditions. So when that happened, more shame. Pride was just broken, y'all. Came back home, moved in with my grandma, and realized like I'm gonna have to figure this shit out. I can't depend on him. I was still in love with him and entangled with him. I'm not even gonna hold you. That was a pattern that was pretty much normal in my area. It was normal to see that. So it was something that, uh, paired with my low self esteem and overall trauma, it was something that was safe for me. Even though he had did the worst, I felt safe enough to like still be entangled with him, child. And I'm just so glad to be past that. But let me make sure, y'all, because I'm gonna be rambling, and I don't want to be rambling the whole time because I'll tell you my whole story. But I came home and I was like, I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life and how I was going to provide with my child, along with having postpartum depression, along with just feelings like I had finally built a life in Colorado. I had finally started making friends. I had finally start make feeling settled, and I had to give that shit up, and that is hard. Driving to Colorado with a 4 month baby and bringing all your stuff back home, that was a hard transition. Like, I remember walking back into my apartment with my mom and just breaking down and crying because it was like, oh my god, like this man really left me out here to do all this stuff by myself. And looking back on it, I'm grateful because that hard lesson just really fortified something within me. It really made me see, like, you really out here on your own, baby girl. Like, you really got to figure this out. Ain't no more free spirit. Ain't no more just going with the flow. You gonna have to do the work. So when I got all my things back from Colorado, really got comfortable at my grandma's house in Galveston, I came across I was looking for a job or whatever, going to hotels, going to a lot of places where I knew I was overqualified, but I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I need to do because I'm a mom. I gotta provide for my child. So I came across this bank program through Sir Jobs, which is a nonprofit organization here in Houston. It was originally started for Latino immigrants. It was a company, sir, Spanish, It was a company made by Mexican Americans, Latinos to support their community. They were so successful, they expanded to everyone. And I just love that story. I just love how they took care of their community and then they expanded to add the surrounding community. But they had a bank program that I actually was accepted to while I was in Colorado, but it was unpaid, so I passed it up. So when I came across it again, I was like, oh my God, like this is my second chance, right? So it got to be for me. I got to go for it. So I was in Galveston, going to Houston. I think it was 2 or 3 times out the week to get trained to work in banks. Um, that was like a 2 hour round trip experience. Luckily, I was receiving money from well, I guess I was because what am I trying to say? I was receiving wages from my previous employer because my job was relocated while I was on maternity leave, and they gave some misinformation and said that they were going to extend, I think it was like 6 months of full pay to me, which was not true. Was not true. So, based on the laws of the state I was in, they had to pay me how much they said they were going to pay me. So, until my daughter was like 9 months, I was receiving my full wage that I was receiving when I was working full time. Benefits, everything. And that was nothing but the ancestors. Nothing but the ancestors. Nothing but divine spirit making sure that I had everything I needed. So I was using my little money to get my raggedy car fixed, using my dad's truck, which was a gas guzzler, and driving to Houston, 2 hours round trip. I believe it was 3 times a week to get this training because I knew I needed some support to get where I wanted to get to in life. So I met some amazing people. I'm still friends with them on social media, built these great bonds. And before I even graduated from the certification program, I received a part time job as a bank teller, which was perfect because I wasn't ready to really work full time and be away from my daughter at that time. So so with this bake program, we had like a little ceremony or whatever, and our teacher, and I hate that I cannot remember his last name. His name is David, and he was a bank manager at one time, but he was doing this. I know he was a Q dog, and he was doing this. He was working with Sir Jobs as to help the community. Y'all know Q dogs don't play about the community. So he had told us all to write a little bio about ourselves so he can read at the ceremony. So I did not do it because I just felt like I was still carrying a lot of shame and I felt like I didn't really do nothing in life. Like in my head I was just doing what I had to do. What is there to talk about? I'm here because I need a job. I don't. I want what you got, what you're offering. So give it to me. So I remember I didn't provide anything. So I honestly didn't think he was going to read anything when I was presented with my certification. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember him saying that. Let me see, because I'm gonna cry. I started my period yesterday, a couple days early. So even though I'm a crybaby, I thought I was able to hold it down a little bit more. But but I remember walking down and he was reading my little bio and he was just saying how I had overcome so many challenges and that even though I lived in Galveston, I was driving, 2 hours round trip for, with no pay to get the training that I need. And I remember him saying that she is a tenacious leader. And I was just like, me? Like I never considered anyone to view me like that. And I remember my peers and my mom and my parents and my grandpa, rest in peace, just being so proud of me. And that's something that I really needed. I remember that being more like a brick in my foundation. Like, oh wow, I can make, smart choices. I didn't fuck up. Like, I'm really doing the things needed to move forward in my life. Ooh, child, give me a second, because I want to make sure I say what needs to be said. I know it ain't no coincidence. I started my period and then I want to do this. It ain't no coincidence. Whew. Just give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Ah. But yeah, that really opened up doors for me. Now, working at the bank was not my thing, child. At this time in my life, I was doing so much and I was drowning in postpartum depression. Just, you know how it is, black and brown women. We'll wear the warrior mask and be breaking down on the inside. And I remember just feeling so overwhelmed one day, even though everything was working out good for me. But I remember feeling overwhelmed one day and giving my daughter to my grandma because I just needed a moment. Can you hold my baby for a moment? She was like, "Yeah, go take a nap." I remember going in my room, closing the door, and just collapsing on my bed and just crying and just and I said out loud, I just feel like if I wasn't here, my daughter would have a better life. And when I said that, I was like, oh, wait. We need to go talk to somebody. This is so you are feeling like you want to unalive yourself. Let's go talk to someone. So I got myself into therapy and got myself into uh, medication, and things became a lot more bearable. Then another stumbling block happened. The bank I was working at was closing down. I had barely been there for 3 months, and they told us, "You're gonna have to pick from this location on this location because this ain't gonna be here no more." And y'all, I was struggling at that bank. I didn't understand how everybody else was getting this shit. Everybody could count money without miscounting. People could sell things without even trying. And I remember the ladies I work with being so kind to me. Well, at least one of them being so kind to Miss Carolyn and Diana. I doubt y'all ever see this, but I just had to say your name because y'all were really a good support for me. But I just remember feeling like broken, and it just kept reiterating replaying all those stories in my head of like not feeling good enough, not being as smart as I thought, and all those things that certain adults say in our lives that are stored in our subconscious. It what where I was in my life, it was bringing that back up, right? So I was like, you know what? Since the location is closing, I'm not gonna go to no other bank. Clearly, I'm not good at this. I'm gonna go back to call center life because that's what I'm good at, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I came across a job opening for the position for the company I work with now, the same company that my stepmom had worked with for 27 or 25 years, and she retired from it. And I remember watching her grow up and remember her, working at the grocery store and then getting this job with this company and things really prospering for her. So I felt like another sign. The path has already been laid out. Go ahead and walk the path. So I got the job. And you know how you get a job and that's a high. It's a excited experience. I used everything I learned from my bank program. I learned and let me backtrack a little bit. This program was taught by a Hispanic man named Jose. I hope he's still with us because he had cancer. Jose, and then it wasn't Juan. I'm pretty sure it was Jose. And then, dang, what was it? I don't know, but if he's still with us, God bless it. God bless him. If he not, may his soul rest with his ancestors. But it was with a Mexican man and a black man, and when they went through training, they let you know the truth. Hey, you a black woman. these are the stereotypes. When you go into this job interview, you do this, this, and this. We were told to write out scripts, all this stuff, baby. I had a lot of great moments of learning in that program. But we so when I went to the company I'm with now, I took all that and applied it and got the job. Went into that thing, was so excited, getting things done. But you know, when you, I don't know if you ever did call center jobs, but that shit will wear you down. It will wear you down. And I found myself being like, I cannot do this shit forever. I cannot do this forever. But I didn't know what else to do. So at that time, I was getting stronger into my practices, into hoodoo. I was a part of this spiritual community, and I say part because we ain't gonna get into it. I'm gonna say I was adjacent. Praise the ancestors for that. But so I was getting really deep into my spiritual practices and learning from the Orisha, divining to my ancestors independently. And I received a divination from a priestess. And no, that's not what it was. That's the second part. I what happened? What happened? Oh, well, I was like, okay, I can't do this forever. I remembered a divination I received while I was pregnant, and she told me that your ancestors are saying you should get into corporate America. You should get into human resources. That's where the money is. That's where you're going to be successful. So I was like, okay, bet. So bringing that into the future, I was like, okay, now I got to get this degree because you got to have a degree to get into human resources, and that opened up a whole different bag of, I hate to say trauma, but bag of bullshit. I had been in college for over 10 years. I had started, quit, started, lost my financial aid, and just couldn't. I know I'm smart. I know a lot of shit, but when it came down to actually getting the work done, I just couldn't hold my focus. So at that time, I was in therapy already. I had learned that I am dyslexic and that I also have ADHD. And that and everything made sense. And I was just like, oh, ain't nothing wrong with me. I just need a little help. I just need a little guidance, and I got this. I am smart. I do have the skills. I just need to get some tools. So let me tell you how random this is. It's not random because I know when I look back in my life, it ain't nothing but spirit. Ain't nothing but me learning certain things about myself and shifting vibrations and being open to receive divine guidance. So I'm scrolling on Instagram and I come across Coach Val J, and that's Val, V as in Victor, ALJ. And she is a life coach or whatever. And she was making these really little short videos at one time, and they were just giving you strategies on how to unblock yourself and overcome overthinking. And it just seemed like, oh my God, like this is exactly what I need. So along with having a therapist and Coach Val J, I was talking through my problems and learning strategies to overcome my overthinking. And I felt empowered, like, okay, now I can get my degree. Re-enrolled back at University of Houston downtown. Found out, yeah, because I thought I had like a whole 6 7 classes left to complete my degree. I had one class left, and it was creative writing. And I absolutely love writing. I love writing poetry, short stories. I love reading. So it just felt like, oh my God, like all this time I had one class and it's an easy class. So I started making waist beads to supplement my income. I'm doing all the things that I've been wanting to do. I had a little vendor booth where I was selling all my little hoodoo things. And on top of completing my class and working full time and being a mom and dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, dealing with a crazy entanglement with my kid's dad, And in May of 2021, at the peak of COVID, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies. And being the first generation, which was very special to me, my grandparents got to witness it from their couch because, they had it on TV. I didn't have a traditional ceremony, which meant the world to me because my grandpa, he had like a third grade education, and my grandma, I think she had like a 10th grade. So it was really a big deal, for me to make that accomplishment. And they were both able to witness that, as a family. And yeah, I was thinking that my life was just going to take off. I thought that, oh, I got my degree. I'm going to have access to so many different jobs, blah, blah, blah. And that wasn't the case. I was still stuck at that goddamn call center. Miserable, y'all. But I was trying to figure it out in my misery, trying to, get my business off the ground because I was hoping this would be the thing to take me out of poverty. It wasn't, but I learned a lot of things and I met some cool people. And I decided to get another divination. So I was like, okay, my partner at the time, she was like, okay, go see my godmom and I'm gonna pay for it and we gonna figure out what you need to do. Seen got a divination with her godmom. And I should see I wasn't as keen to how the Orishas and these African spirits work. They don't work like they'll tell you something to keep you busy, and then while on the back end, other things are being arranged for you, right? So a legwat comes through, and he was like, "Oh, you just need a certification. Get you a certification, you make some money, you gonna be fine." So I was like, "Well, hell, okay. Well, I got a 401k. I'll use that money, and I'll find me some kind of certification. Google search certifications." Didn't find anything. I wanted something quick because I know I have ADHD. I didn't want to do nothing for 2 3 years. I need something quick where I can get in and get out. Went down the list. Dental assistant. Okay, sounds cool. Uh, I have dental anxiety. It would be cool to help people. Let's go ahead and do that. Child went through that program, and that was another level of self discovery, but more so in a positive way. I was challenged again, doing something that I never thought I was capable of, and I got my certification, and I was really proud of myself. Couldn't find no job. Could not find no job. And at that time, I was like, in the call center. I had learned to kind of open up more to the people around me because, hey, I was going to be there. I might as well, like, talk to people. And there was this witchy white lady or whatever. And I had got my certification and I was looking for a job and I was just talking to her. And I was just like, I just don't understand. Like, I can't find nothing. And I'm not going to get a job that I'm making less than what I'm making now. I was making $17 and barely skating by. Only reason why I was able to skate by was because my partner at the time was allowing me to use her weekly food subscription. So I was getting food from that weekly. My kids' godmom and my mom were helping me pay for daycare, which, oh God, just broke me, y'all. Oh, it just broke me. I just hated the idea of needing help. And I remember my child's godmom, Tay Tay, was like, Tanisha, just ask for help. Why are you doing yourself like this? And I just felt so just like a failure, like just so whatever. But but I was holding it down, and I was talking to her and I was just like, I don't understand. Like, why can't I find me another job or whatever? I spent all this money, da da da. And she was just listening to me and she got quiet and she was like, "You're not leaving here until you learn that lesson." And I was like, "What lesson do I need to learn?" And she was like, "But when you learn the lesson, you'll be able to leave." So so I am trying to figure out what the lesson is. I am continuously watching Coach Val J's video. She was doing these EYT daily videos. They were like 10, 15 minutes. and I would catch those on live. And then she opened up a subscription, which was $5 a month. And I was like, well, I just won't get no chicken at Popeyes. I won't get. I can skip, that or whatever to get this work. And I would just binge watch her videos and just whatever she would talk about. I have a whole journal. It's not this one, but it's same composition book full of her EYTs or whatever. And I would just write down her lessons and use that as shadow work. Whatever thoughts came up, I was meditating. I was doing all the things to figure out what was going on, what was the lesson, what is the reason. I was doing all the things. So, I don't really even know how. I know, Tanisha, it was spirit. You was doing the work. You was aligning your frequency with with your next step. And my next step was, I was on YouTube, and I was just searching for things or whatever, and I found this one guy, and I was like, oh, he's on here talking about spiritual stuff and overcoming things. And I was like, this is really interesting. I've never seen anything like this. And this was in 2023. So I was like, huh. So you know how you watch one video and you watch it a few times, YouTube is going to lead you to other ones. And I came across Nero Knowledge, Nero space knowledge. And he's a young brother from the UK, and here's this dude with a do rag, Ray Bans, and a wife beater with a little mic attached to it, teaching esoteric lectures. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is dope. And I remember thinking like, ugh, this is so boring. But I was like, wait. Why do I feel like this is boring? Let me make myself watch this. And I made myself watch the video, and the things he taught y'all, quantum physics and looking at the Bible from an esoteric perspective, and all of these, like when you think of like the Da Vinci Code and the law of attraction and all these things that people call like spiritual woo woo, he was breaking all these things down. And what I learned was like, oh, the reason why I'm not where I am, where I want in my, the reason why I'm not where I want to be in life is because I'm so fucking miserable. My frequency is so low that I'm attracting more of these experiences to keep me at this base level. So while I start binge watching his videos, and I realized, okay, if you want more in life, Tanisha, you're gonna have to be happy now. I know you hate this job, but hell, at least you got a job. At least you got people around you that you can lean on, even though you hate it. We got to appreciate where we are, or we're not going to have a better life. So I started to intentionally do things to make myself happy. I started to go on Instagram and cook, and I find Dominican recipes and all these different kind of recipes, and I learned that I enjoy cooking. I really enjoy that. And then while I was at work, I started um I would watch my videos. I would make my little waist beads to keep me distracted or whatever. It helped me stay in a vibrational window. And I remember one of my managers walked past my desk, and we had a pretty big desk or whatever, like literally probably this big around me or whatever. And I had all my waist beads. It looked like I didn't work in a call center, baby. I had everything lined out, and I was just be on calls making waist beads. And mind you, I was on the brink of losing my job. I was on the brink. It was a few times where it was like, all right now, Tanisha, you don't went off on too many people. Like we can't keep like letting you sky by. Okay, your scores are like in the dirt. You got to do better. So I had a little fire underneath my ass, right? So I started just distracting myself. I started on my lunch breaks, I would have like little picnics. I would take my blanket, lay it out in the grass. I would take naps. I remember coworkers looking like, what is Tanisha doing? I would just find things to bring joy to my life to the point where I was okay with where I was at. I knew I wasn't going to be there forever, I made the most of my circumstances. And just one day, y'all, some random day, this lady that I started with, Miss Sonia, she sent me a IM message. Now she had got a promotion to another company, not company, to another department, but because of my scores, I wasn't eligible to apply. No one was going to take me when I needed improvement, and I sucked in every area. And that was something that brought me down too. But I worked up. I had started redeeming myself, coming to work on time. My attitude had shifted. I started connecting with my coworkers and really accepting where I was. And when I received this IM, she was like, "Oh, my position is hiring. You need to apply." And at that moment, I was like, "Nah." And I said, "Wait, is this Papa Leg? But like, is the door being open for me?" Because I had learned through neuro knowledge that when you when certain situations come to your life that can level you up, the first thing you're going to do is deny it. You need to pay attention to that. So I was so aware of myself, I paid attention. I was like, well, why can't you get this position? You got your QA scores up. You've been doing everything the way you need to be doing. Like, let's just take a chance and see. And let me just say this was my first time making a choice without running to my shrines and asking if this is the right choice. This was a moment where I learned to trust myself. Applied to that job, had a great interview, and 2 weeks later I got the promotion. I got called to this position. um at that time, when I got hired for the position, I still had to talk on the phones or whatever, but I accepted it because hell, it was better than where I was. I wasn't gonna be talking on the phone 24/7, right? So I got this position or whatever, and right when I got the position, I remember Sonya writing me, sending me an